make this a little bit bigger. And see if anybody joined. Hey. Hey, all. Can you see us and hear us? All right, guys. So, hey, everyone. I'm Spectre. And you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm Aaron.
All right. So, we just thought we'd talk a little bit about trading psychology. Hoping to do something like this a little more frequently. Maybe it'll be once a week, every couple weeks. But for today, we just wanted to start off with a little bit about trading psychology and how that's a huge part of trading, right? And I would say that, if you watch the other videos, you probably heard me say this. I would say that psychology is probably about 70% of trading, 20% technical, and I'll put 10% luck in there. And so, but what do most people spend their time on? Probably spend 80% of their energy on looking for the right technical indicator, and or some sort of indicator of what to do, and then jumping in and jumping out, and that's where the energy gets spent. Instead, one should be devoting a lot more energy, like learn setups, learn how to use technical indicators. But once you know that's you've got to really devote the energy on the psychology side. And I was talking to our group in THT, where one of the guys who's been trading with me for a couple of years, he's taking the week off, and he had a killer month, and then he gave back, I think, half his gains. And he said, "Hey, you know what? I'm off my game. There's something wrong with my my psychology, or or something I'm doing. I'm not sure what it is." And he's a great trader. He's grown his account from probably almost 20x, I think, in the last 2 years. And so, that's great. And what's awesome about him saying, "Hey, I'm going to take a step back and take some time to reset mentally," is that comes from having maturity in trading and recognize, "Hey, I gotta look at my psychology. There's something I'm off for some reason," right? And so if that happens to you, you want to take a breather. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're a bad trader. Actually, it's showing maturity in your trading when you can do that, right? When you're a new trader and you say, "I got to stop trading," and what you feel almost feels like defeat, right? It feels like you're giving up. And you shouldn't feel that way. You absolutely should not feel that way. Instead, you should be going, "Hey, okay, because this is a long game. This is not a short game business. I mean, you can, you're saying, 'Hey, I just see one opportunity, I'm going to get in,' but if you're going to be a trader for the long term, you really, really need to focus on your psychology. Are you mentally there? Did you go out drinking last night and you're like wasted and shouldn't be trading? Or maybe you've had a death in the family. If you've got something that's got you emotional and off your game, it's okay to not take trades, right? Come back when you're set up and you're good." Aaron, do you want to add?
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you, but yeah, it's one of those things that you have to. It's hard. I mean, I naturally am an emotional person, and so I have to constantly be checking myself and really coming back down to like your why. If you're if it's money focused, or I have to pay the bills, and so I have to make this or make that. It's a certain goal. It usually never pans out. You need to focus on that process, and then also recognizing, um, those emotions of greed or needing to enter into a trade. If you're catching yourself doing that, then it, it might work a few times, but in the long run, it'll usually blow up. But for me, what I found, to easily recognize my emotions, if I had a day or a week that I made really big gains or even losses, then I usually then step back and take a couple days breather. A month or two ago, when the whole market was just tanking, and I did extremely well, but I gave up half of it a week or two later because I just thought I knew what I was doing, and it just I got ahead of myself, and after after that, it just took up my confidence. And so from winning really big and then giving half or all of it back, it's just like I just it'll shake up. It'll really shake you up. But I took a couple weeks off. I took things slow, small trades, and rebuilt that confidence back. And, so what I've learned whole process, I've been trading for about a year, is at least my rule is default. If I have a really, really good day or week, or even bad, I just really step back and make sure that my thought process is is right.
Yeah. So to your point about recognizing, like, how do you recognize when your psychology might be off, right? And there's different kinds of clues. Um, like if you start, one example would be if you start looking at a trade and going, this one trade is going to make up for all the bad trades I've ever done, right? And you start getting super hyper focused on that. And then what happens is you're actually shifting now from looking and trading the trade setup and getting caught up in profit and loss trading, right? And P&L trading. And that is probably one of the worst things you can ever do for yourself, is to get focused on profit and loss, in the sense of that being your driving factor. What you need to do is focus on the trade setups so that the profit or loss will come naturally as a result of the quality of your trade setup and the quality of your trade execution. But when you're focused on the profit and loss, the trade execution just goes right out the window.
It's almost the best.
The psychology, you just get so focused on this on the wrong thing.
And not to interrupt you,
Go
the
ahead.
best feeling just playing the chart and not even looking. It's hidden. It's the best feeling when you start the day and playing the charts, and at the end of the day, just got to look at the P&L and you're like, wow, okay, I did really well today. And my mind was focused on the money. It was just looking at chart setups and technicals and just letting it play out. And yeah, it all and everything changed throughout the day, and so it's really important to know when to enter, what time of the day you're entering, when not to enter. I mean, I've given up so much game trading during lunch, even though I know not to. But I mean, those days that you see big moves happening during lunch, it throws you off because you're like, oh yeah, see, you can trade during lunch, but 9 times out of 10, trading during lunch just does not work out because it's just top or consolidation. Uh, so having those rules and just playing the chart and not looking at the P&L, it just a lot more refreshing. You don't
Yeah.
you don't get stressed out. don't, and when you get stressed, then it's just a compounding effect. And then you want to overtrade, or not overtrade, but revenge trading. That
Oh
that
my
is the one
God.
thing that has killed me in the past, is revenge trading line. And I always have a come to Jesus talk with myself, and I always think I'm gonna figure it out. And then there's that one day that somehow my emotions take over, and I revenge trade, and it just kills me. But if I just set back, if I'm red for the day, and the trade's not there, if the setup is not there and there's no momentum or nothing, you just have to chalk it off that today is going to be a red day. But don't make it a deeper red day just because you're trying to get green.
Yep, I've been there way too many times than I want, way more than I want to admit. And it just leads you down a bad road, right? And that's part of why we try to focus on the first 2 hours, is because there's a good edge to catch good momentum and get a great risk reward trade in. The other thing is with this, I should have taken notes. So you had said something that I wanted to touch on. Now I can't remember what it was. Comes back down to, well, we'll go back to the topic of like recognizing, like how do you recognize when you're off, right? That's probably kind of hard. One is if you're catching yourself like, I got to make money on this trade. Another is if did you just take a big win or loss, right? And then just take like, just where are you at, right? Like, well, here's one thing. How many times have you gone and said, hey, I made $3,000 today, and because I'm up so much, I'm gonna go, yeah, let's trade. It may not be the best setup, but let's see what happens since I'm up so big. And you're like, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna risk $1,000 on the idea, right? That's complacency, right? You're not trading the setup. You're trading the emotion about, hey, I got so much profit, I can do whatever. And, if it works out, great. If not, but you might not be evaluating the setup itself. You're just kind of up and you're riding that high and you're like, oh, I'm on fire today. I'm going to get another whatever. The risk that happens is that you think you're risking 1,000, but then say it dumps hard or something, and you end up losing $2,000. What I've done in the past is, well, I was up at 3, now I'm only up 1,000, and now I'm chasing to get back to 3, and ended up minus 3,000 on the day, right? So it's not just running into situations where you've got FOMO or emotion around because you've lost for the day. It could even be that you're up and then you've taken a loss, and then you just start compounding it, right? And so you have to catch yourself. You kind of gotta set some. Oh, here's what I was remembering. It was about the rules, right? So when you set those rules and the stress around those rules, like let me phrase that. How many times have you made rules and then you break them? And then how many times that because you didn't follow your rules, that creates some emotion, right? And you're beating yourself up, or you won or you lost, but that not listening to your rules, how many times does it come back to bite you, right? So one of the best things you can do is not just make the rules, but you got to accept the rules you made. If you think about that, right? You make rules, but you don't accept them because you just kind of say, I wrote it down, but I'm not following it, right? So you're not accepting that, hey, look, after 2 hours, I'm done trading. I'm just, maybe other things may happen. This may move, this may not move. But if you make the rule that you're going to trade 2 hours and you're done, and then unless it's the only thing is you have to make a rule for when is it okay to break the rules, right? That's okay. You can totally do that. But you've created something. You've created something to put a box around when you break the rules, as opposed to, oh, I can just be willy-nilly all the time and just do whatever. I made these rules, but they're not hard and fast, and trading isn't just about your profits and losses on every trade, right? Or it's, at least for me, I mean, there's so many different kinds of trades and trade setups. You really want to kind of develop a system, right? And that part of having a system is having set rules, right? And then you can evaluate how well are those rules working for you over time. And you can make adjustments as needed. But it's, once you can accept your rules, the stress goes out the windows. You're like, it's amazing how much the stress around trading drops when you accept the rules you create. Because now you're in alignment with yourself and what you've said should happen. But when you're adding stress and tension, it comes from when you're not being true to yourself, I would say, or true to what you should be doing.
Like, sort of have that, you're taking the emotions out of it, and you're just going through a strategy, a formula, and you just stick with that. And FOMO, it will kill your account too, because you're chasing and not having the proper risk reward entry. But to add on to what you were saying, if you're going through that mental thought process, whether you had a good trade or bad trade, what I found the best thing to do is have to step away from it. Go to a different room, go outside, have to think about that. You're not looking at the charts or looking at your screen, because the only way to change a habit is you have to get yourself out of those bad habits. You have to get yourself out of an environment. Anytime I try to go through that thought process, I'm staring at a screen, I'm looking at candles going up and down and tickers, like it's just much. You have to just step away. And even though you want, your emotions are driving you here or that, or whatever the emotions going through your head, it draws you to looking at these charts, but have to like step away. I mean, somehow you have to just pull yourself or shut the computer down. But once you do that, then you can reevaluate. I've always learned every day there's always a trade. There's always a trade. Well, I say there's always a trade. There's some days that are consolidation. And where I get wrecked is consolidation. And I think it's going to go one way, but if it doesn't go the other way, the best thing you can do is know that you missed a trade, back the next day. Don't just entering into trades.
Yeah, just it's focus on the trades that you're really good at. Learn what you're really good at, the kind of trade setups you're really good at, and then just be happy about that, right? And just go, hey, look, when that happens, I'm going to kill it. But rather than, well, getting caught up in that again, I got to get the green. I got to get green for the day, right? And then also accepting the gains, right? When you've made a kill and you've done really well, go treat yourself and be done for the day. It's okay. There'll be more trades tomorrow. Don't get caught up in, hey, I got to keep trading. I got to keep going. It's a at least for me, the way I look at it is the more trades I take, the more risk or opportunity I'm taking, not just to lose on that one trade, but to get caught up in the bad psychology I know I have, where I hate to lose. And when I lose and I go red, I get into a trap where I will more than likely start revenge trading. And I know that about myself. So now that I know that about that myself, it's important for me to take fewer trades. Because every time I take a trade, I'm opening the opportunity not for that bad psychology to come in. Right? So you really have to look at yourself and say, what kind of a person, what kind of trading are you? Can you be patient and wait for your setups? And what I found is when I'm just patient waiting for my setups, and if this all goes, I find it's actually like, look, the market's wanting to give me money. Like, I'm going to just take it. Thank you. But when I'm trying to force or I'm being impatient, and that it becomes stressful. It becomes a pain in the ass. You get chopped up a bunch. It's becomes work.
It does, and I mean, the biggest key that I don't know if this goes along the way, but if just can find a good support for resistance and know it, and just trust. And not all trades are going to work out. Like you might find a good support line, and you're like, you know what, this is a really good risk reward, and uh, you buy in and at that support. And what does it do? It breaks support and keeps going down. Uh, well, you had your stop, had your rules, got out, you lost a little bit of money, but it was a good trade because knowing that you're buying at some kind of support or some kind of resistance. Where I where I get caught up emotion or technical is by anytime in because then now you're at this crossroads where it could go either direction, and if you don't have the right stops in, and if you don't have any stops in, then literally you're just playing off of your emotion. And if it's going down per se, and you're like, well, it's going to come back up. It's going to come back up. Well, you're just lying to yourself. Your emotions are telling you it's going to do one thing, and then it never does. And instead of losing, you know, 5 or 10%, you end up losing 50% or 80%, and get down to say 50%. You're like, well, you know what? Screw it. I'm all in, and then next thing you know, you lose 100%. And that's playing off emotion, not rules and of the charts. So the key is like Spectre was saying is find a good support or resistance level. That's when you want to start weighing your options, right? Because there's so many times too where all of a sudden this thing's running up a ticker and it's running into a resistance. I'm like, man, it's gonna break through. It's gonna go through, and I'll get in. What does it do? It immediately just reverses. It's like I got in at a resistance. So so seeing all those green candles or things just going crazy, that's the FOMO, and that's when you recognize, wait a minute, you know, is this the right entry?
And on the flip side, maybe you're already into it, and you see when and how I sell, and a lot of I can sell into these peaks a bunch of times. That's the other part of it. When you change your psychology from the being the FOMO buyer, you want to be a killer. Let's just say and say I want to sell to those FOMO buyers, right? You're changing the game a little bit for yourself. Instead of being, hey, I'm going to be a FOMO buyer, I'm going to be a FOMO seller. I'm going to sell to those FOMO buyers. And there's two different trades. One, if you're already in the trade, and then the other way is you can sell premium into that FOMO. That's another great way. And then another technique is to buy puts into that crazy FOMO. And so, again, it all comes back down to adjusting your psychology to fit your trade setups to give you the best opportunity for a good reward, right?
And what I was going to say is to help, sort of like a psychology hack or mind hack. Best thing you can do, like say you expect like your levels on your watch list. It's finding a good entry and out a watch list level and just trusting it. And what you do is let the computer do the work, or your broker, as in put in your stops, put in your limits. Do that. It takes your mind out of it, and it either will work or it won't work. And I've spent many days just being exhausted, staring at a 1 minute chart for hours, just watching it go up, 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 then down, up, 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 down, and it just emotionally. But just putting in your stops and then your sell orders when it hits these levels, walking away and just going live. It's just so refreshing.
It's a lot better. I mean, you also, how many times have you seen something like, for example, Amazon, where you get in and say $10 and then it goes 12, 14, 12, 14, 12, 14, it never goes back to 10. And say your stop's at like $9 or $8. It never comes back. Maybe it comes dips real quick to like 10.50 and your stop's at 9 and then goes right back to $14. But your overall target is $18 or $20 or maybe $30 or $40. But it gets to 14, you sit there going up and down, and it wears you out, and then you end up selling on that dip to 10.50 or 11, right? Just before it then breaks out, goes over 14, and runs to 20, right? How many times does that happen, right? And that's part of that. You get worn out watching those charts. But if you had trusted your plan, you made a trade plan, you trusted it. Here's the stop. I'm willing to lose this, and you maybe take some profit along the way, and so that gives you a little more buffer in case you're wrong. And you trust that, hey, you're going to get your reward, and then you end up getting your reward. It feels so much more satisfying than end up over trading that setup. Because say it goes through 14, and it's 14.50, and you chase it, and then it dumps right back to 12, and you stop out, and then it goes back up. That's how you get caught up in the cycle of revenge trading and over trading. Instead, if you had your original setup and just trusted it, then you're just moving on to look for another trade setup. That one's going to either work or not work. And so yeah. So anyways, we're almost a half an hour in. Just wanted to do a quick thing about psychology. Hope this was helpful for you guys. I'm actually meant to check and see there's questions. Okay, cool. Yeah, so good. Don't see too many questions or any questions. So that's awesome. If anybody has any, I'd be happy to answer real quick. But would you like to see more of videos like this or live streamers and chats?
I would.
Yeah, we'll do more. We'll do more. I mean, what I want to do is something like this, but we'll maybe include we'll include maybe chart reviews in a little bit of this format. So we'll talk about the emotion. One of the things I'd like to do is get to the point where we're talking about the emotions with the charts as they're moving.
Yep.
And I think that'll be great. And maybe do.
This was a good, first start of basically open, just talking. But yeah, maybe a couple of the videos have a little more structure, go in depth, and actually as to sort of show people.
Yeah, no, it's great, right? Like so good. Well, thanks everybody for coming and watching, and we'll talk to you all soon. Yeah, we'll have to do one session just on Friday psychology and Friday trading. Whole mess of stuff there. That's very different from normal trading days, or can be. So thanks everyone, and thank you, Aaron, for joining us. And I will see you all soon.